If your campaign feels flat, or if your players only seem engaged during combat, or if your sessions don't feel emotionally intense the way you imagined, the problem usually isn't your world building. It's that your game is missing tension and drama. Today, on this episode of the Bearded Nerd Podcast, I'm going to show you how to make your D&D campaign feel more cinematic, emotional, and immersive without needing complicated plots or constant combat. You will not need to be an expert writer to create these moments. We'll discuss how to instill tension and drama into your campaign in a way that feels natural, immersive, and manageable, especially for game masters who are still developing their skill sets. Before we begin this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and make sure that you are notified for future episodes that drop every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, let's dive into this episode of the Bearded Nerd Podcast with your host, Brian. First and foremost, let's define tension and drama and what they actually are. Tension is simply the feeling that something meaningful could happen. It could be a good feeling, it could be a bad feeling, it could be a neutral feeling, but it's a feeling that something may happen and that feeling or that result is meaningful. Drama, on the other hand, is an emotional conflict between the goals, the people, or the consequences. By those definitions, you can see where you don't need explosions or complicated lore or even massive plot twists in order to instill tension and drama. You need players to feel pressure, to feel uncertainty, to feel like there's an emotional and physical stake at hand. Now, the reason why a campaign may feel flat is because a common mistake that newer game masters make is that they make everything feel emotionally neutral. NPCs don't react strongly, nothing changes, no decisions feel difficult, and in reality, no one seems affected by the player characters. So the game becomes procedural. It's go here, fight this thing, collect the reward, repeat. When you insert drama, though, drama creates an emotional friction. And without friction, stories feel weightless. During my time as a professional game master and watching and learning from other game masters, there are many ways to create tension and drama. But I think the 4 best ways to do so are by 1, giving players something to lose, 2, adding some sort of pressure via time, 3, create difficult decisions, and 4, letting the consequences echo throughout the story. By giving players something to lose, the drama works when the players care. So it means that you, as the game master, must create important NPCs. Safe locations, trusted allies, and personal goals may be tied to their backstory, that when a threat of losing one of those things becomes so meaningful, it creates immediate tension. Instead of just saving the kingdom, that's kind of abstract. But when it's saving the town of Hearthglen, where 3 out of the 5 player characters have family ties to that city or village, then it's not just saving the town or the village or the kingdom. It's saving a younger sibling or a mentor or the hometown or the place where the party feels at home. And that makes it personal. When we add time as a point of pressure, urgency creates drama. So when the town of Hearthglen needs to be saved, you're not just saying, well, it needs to be saved at some abstract time. You are saying, no, the goblin army is going to attack the town of Hearthglen at midnight. And allegedly, there is a magical storm that will arrive afterward to wipe out the rest of the town if the goblin army did not do its job. Now, players cannot comfortably delay. That pressure creates an emotional energy that emphasizes a decision that has to be made. Now, speaking about creating difficult decisions, the real drama happens when every option has a cost and nobody gets everything that they want. That right answer, quote unquote, is unclear. So they can choose to save Hearthglen, but they won't be able to pursue the necromancer who is pulling the strings in the background. Or they could reveal the truth about who's pulling the strings, but the town of Hearthglen could be lost, right? Players remember hard choices more than they remember the easy victories. And lastly, those consequences must echo. Drama dies when nothing matters afterward. So if the players betray someone, which in this example, the town of Hearthglen, that world, your game world, will respond. Maybe the survivors of Hearthglen look at the players with a "how could you" look, or a sense of betrayal on their faces that now you've created a villain in another campaign or for the next campaign. The people will remember, the rumors will spread, the relationships will shift. Those consequences are what makes the world feel alive. And if you've heard me talk about this on other episodes of the podcast, making your world feel alive allows for your players to fully be immersed in the game. With all that being said, though, how do we build drama? Well, I believe the best way to build drama is by building it slowly. Not every session should feel explosive from a drama perspective. Good tension builds over time. Small moments matter. Maybe there's an NPC that hesitates before answering the party. Maybe a village is acting strangely than they did 3 sessions ago. Maybe there's an ally that's been withholding information and they only find out about it 24 sessions later. Whatever it may be, think about it from this perspective. Drama is like tightening the slack on rope. Every scene adds pressure and eventually something is going to snap. So you don't just dump a bunch of weight and kill the slack immediately. You let that slack tighten over time to really solidify that position, which is to build the drama slowly. Again, you are doing this for the sake of the story. You don't tell the full story in 10 minutes. The equivalent would be you don't tell the full story in 5 sessions unless that's all the time you have. And even then, you can build drama slowly if you're pressed for time. The best tool, though, in my opinion, on creating drama is by utilizing NPCs. Players rarely become emotionally attached to the lore. As someone who loves writing lore, I have noticed that the players don't necessarily care as deeply about lore as they do to people. A single memorable NPC can create more investment, more tension, more emotional impact, and even more immersion than the pages of history of your world ever will. Especially if the NPC changes over time. Maybe more of their flaws begin to show. Maybe that NPC wants something, and depending on how the players respond to that, there's going to be an emotional reaction. Drama lives within relationships. Something, though, that I believe needs to be spoken about is that new game masters often over-explain something that is going on within the session. And this over-explanation destroys the drama and the tension. And I believe most of the time it's because new GMs, specifically new GMs, are afraid that the players will miss something. But that's the thing. This mystery creates tension as well. Sometimes a pause or a strange glance is more powerful than a long speech. So trust that your players will feel this uncertainty and that they are believing or that they are weaving tension and drama from this pause. You don't have to explain anything unless it is specifically asked for. But if we're on the topic of things to avoid, please avoid these common mistakes. Please avoid constant high intensity. You don't need it to be a cortisol spiking session every single session. That will make your players not want to play. Also, avoid fake consequences. If it turns out that the consequence isn't real or doesn't really have validity, your players are going to retract from the investment that they made. From there, do not force emotional moments. Let it just happen naturally. And lastly, do not create NPCs that only exist for exposition. That will make it feel fake and will make it feel like the character was just placed there for no reason, and therefore it will deflate everything that you've worked so hard to build. Don't create a character like Lord Varys from Game of Thrones because you want the spy master who can betray anyone. Create your version of Lord Varys, make them into the spy master, but give them a goal and give them certain pursuits that they are after. And whatever the party decides, whether it goes against your spy master in the making or not, that tension and drama will rise naturally. Remember, drama and tension are watered by the seeds of curiosity. If you want your campaign to feel more cinematic and emotionally memorable, remember that tension and drama do not come from bigger fights. They come from emotional stakes, pressure, difficult choices, the relationships that they have with the world, and those consequences. Remember to start small, focus on emotion, and let the tension build gradually. Your players will start leaning forward instead of waiting for initiative. If this episode helped you rethink storytelling in your campaign, share it with a GM who wants their world to feel more immersive and emotionally engaging. And if you want more beginner to intermediate tools for building cinematic campaigns, check the show notes for resources and guides. Until next time, remember to build pressure, emotion, and as always, folks, keep gaming.